Hello, welcome to the video lecture series presented by St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. In this particular video lecture series, we are discussing the subject called Programming for Problem Solving using C. And for past lectures, or in the last lecture, we have started a new topic, a new idea called recursion. And today, we are going to see the implementation of recursion firsthand. Now, as you can recall, yesterday we have discussed what is the idea of recursion, and I have discussed the problem of finding out the of a number, factorial of a number using the recursion technique. As you know, we already know how to find out the factorial of a number without using the recursion. So if I have to find out factorial of a number 5, so all we have to do is just multiply 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 and multiplied by 1, and that is it. This is your recursion. Sorry, this is your factorial in action. Okay. Okay, so the number which will came out of this particular factorial representation is 5 multiplied by 420 multiplied by 360 and 2 is 120. So basically our system or our application of finding out a factorial, when we pass it on a number 5, must get us or must print a number called 120, and that is it must do. So we will pass on a number called 5, that is argument, as an argument that will tell our application to find out the factorial of a number 5, and it must in return give us this particular number called 120. So we'll see that. Let's start writing the code. And int, let's say fact is the name of my method, and int n. So this is the main signature of my function called fact, which would be able to calculate the factorial of a number. It is going to return an integer value, as you can expect that I want something in return from this factorial method, and I will pass an argument, the formal parameter n, which states that of which number this particular function should calculate its factorial. Okay, now let's go ahead into the main function. Okay, so let's define few variables first. And let's first ask the user of which number he wants to calculate the factorial. So scanf percentage %d and let's say a. Okay, and I will assign the result with the value which my function fact will return. So fact, I will pass an argument a, and I will printf and %t. Okay, so what we have done here is we have initialized two integer variables called a and result. A is the value, or a is the number of which we have to calculate the factorial. So I haven't assigned any value to the a, so I will ask the user of which number you want to calculate the factorial. So scanf standard input function will do that. After that, I will call the function fact and pass it on argument, the number a. So the fact will calculate the factorial of the number a. So a becomes the actual argument, and I have the return value, which is the integer value, is assigned to the variable result, which I have already initialized and already declared as the integer variable. Now I will print whatever be inside the result. Now all I have to do is now uh, just write the body of the function. So signature will remain the same, fact, and let's say n. And as we have discussed yesterday, we'll write accordingly. Okay. So my main recursion in action will be, let's say, first I will initialize a variable here. Let's say my int my fact and equal to 1. So I've initialized an integer variable called my fact equal to 1, nothing special. And now this my fact will hold the value of your final factorial. Okay. So my fact will be equal to the number n multiplied by fact and n minus 1, and then return my fact. Okay, so as you can see, the recursion is in action. The function fact is actually calling fact itself. What this particular function, what this particular line is doing, we have already discussed in the yesterday's lecture, so I will not do that again. All we have to do is now write the code for stopping the recursion at a particular point. That is, I have already wrote down my faith. Now all I have to do is to write down a particular idea, so that particular idea will stop the recursion to going in an infinite loop, as we have discussed in the yesterday's lecture. So I will write if n is equal to 1. In that case, you should return 1, and else I will put everything else in this body here. Okay. Okay, I think this should work. So let's save it and let's try to run this. And I will insert the value 5. Okay, so I've inserted the value 5. Now this 5 is actually the value which will be assigned to this variable a. So this practically means that I want to calculate the factorial of number 5, and then I have called the method called fact and passed on the value 5 to it, which is inside this a variable. This fact a variable will actually calculate the factorial of 5 by the idea called recursion. So what I have done here is, when the method is called, the control will switch over to this fact function, and inside this fact function, first it will check the value of the argument n. If the value of argument n is equal to 1, then just return 1, nothing else to do, because the factorial of 1 is actually 1. And else, that means if that is not equal to 1, all I have to do is I will initialize an integer variable my fact with the value 1. This integer variable my fact will actually hold the final value of factorial, and then I will update this variable my fact with the value of the factorial. Okay, initially it has been initialized to 1, but it must be updated to the final factorial value. And while doing that, what I have done is I have just multiplied the initial argument n and called the same function inside the function again. Okay, so this is the recursion in action. I have called the fact function inside the fact function. but this time I have passed on the argument as n minus 1. Okay, so if we see this particular example, n will be passed here and n is actually not equal to 1, so we'll get outside of this if conditional statement. I will go inside this else block, and inside the else block my fact will be created and the value will be assigned with is 1. And after that, first in the very first line, 5 will be multiplied with 5 will be multiplied with the value that is being returned by the function fact, and by calling this fact function I am actually passing the argument 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay, while I will be here, the fact function will again go here like a loop. It will again check, but this time n, value of n will be 4. Again 4 is not equal to 1, so we'll go inside this else. Again this will be initialized, and again we'll go through this line. So now 4 is multiplied with whatever be the value returned by this function fact, and now this time I will insert an argument called 4 minus 1, that is equal to 3, and this will go on until and unless the value of n becomes 1. Okay, we have discussed this whole process in detail in yesterday's lecture, so if you find yourself confused, you can anytime go back and watch that particular lecture to refresh your memory. Okay, so when we pass on value 5 as an argument, we will get its factorial equal to 120. So everything is working fine as I can recall, and this is your recursion in action, and we have used the idea of recursion for implementing an idea which will calculate the factorial of a number which the user will input through its keyboard. Okay, so now I have also written a more complicated application in which you will see the recursion in action again. So it is also in your syllabus, so you must go through that in detail. I will not pass the time here by writing it. It is going to take a lot of time, so I have already written that. So now we are going to implement the Fibonacci series with the help of recursion. So let me first tell you what a Fibonacci series is. Fibonacci series is, mind my spelling of Fibonacci, I'm not entirely sure if it is correct or not, but that is not the point. So Fibonacci series is, the first two number of this particular series are always 0 and 1. So 0 and then 1, and after that every other number will be the summation of previous two numbers. That is, after the first two numbers, the third number of this particular series will be the addition of or the summation of its previous two numbers. Now the previous two numbers are 0 and 1, so 0 plus 1 will be equal to 1, and now next number is in this particular series will be the addition, the summation of previous two numbers, that is 1 plus 1, so it must be 2, and the next number in this particular series will be addition or summation of previous two numbers, that is 2 plus 1, 3, and the next number will be 2 plus 3 equal to 5, and then 8, and then 13, and so on. Okay, so the idea behind writing the application for implementing the Fibonacci series is I will create a function called fib, and I will pass on an integer number as an argument to that particular function. The integer number as an argument will tell the function how many numbers you have to print, how many numbers you have to, or sorry, not how many numbers, but which number you have to print in the Fibonacci series. Okay, let me get you that again. Which number you have to print in the Fibonacci series. So if the function called fib if I pass on the value, let's say n equal to 5, so according to the series it must return me first, second, third, fourth, fifth, that is the number 3. So if I call a function called fib and pass on as argument the number which you want in the Fibonacci series, and if I pass the argument as 5, so it will return me the fifth number in the Fibonacci series, and fifth number in the Fibonacci series is actually 3. Okay, so if I have passed on, let's say, eighth number, then the function will return me 30. Okay, so which number you want in the Fibonacci series, you have to pass on that number to the function fib, and it will return you the value at that particular number in the Fibonacci series. So at fifth place in the Fibonacci series, you have a value called as third, and at the eighth place in the Fibonacci series you have a value called 13. So I think you must have a brief idea what I am trying to say here and what we are trying to do here. So let's get back to the IDE. I will not write this or type this particular function, the complete code here again, because it will take much time. So we'll try to see what we have actually defined here in this particular code. Okay. So first thing first, we'll call the standard input output library called stdioih. That is very standard. You must have been familiar with it right until now. Next, I had defined this signature of my actual function, and I have named it as fib. It will return me an integer value, and it will take an integer argument. That is, which place value do you want in your Fibonacci series. So if I want that what is the value at the fifth place in the Fibonacci series, I will pass 5 here. Okay. Next, I will go inside the main function. I have defined 3 variables of type integer called n. Next is I and m. The value of n is I have initialized as 0. Next, I will ask the user which placed or how many numbers do you want to be printed in your Fibonacci series. Okay, so what I am trying to say is, if I want first 8 numbers to be printed in my Fibonacci series, so I will ask the user enter how many numbers of your Fibonacci series do you want to print, and the user will enter 8. So after the user have entered 8, my application or my code will actually print the first 8 numbers of Fibonacci series. Let's get back to the code. Now whatever the user will enter will be assigned to the variable n by using the scanf function, standard input function, and now we'll go inside the loop. Okay, now this loop will iterate for n number of times. Okay, now why I have done that, as you can recall a few minutes ago, this function fib returned me only one value, not the whole series. So to print first 5 numbers of Fibonacci series, I have to call the fib function 5 times. First time it will return me this value, second time it will return me this value, third time it will return me this value, fourth time it will return me this value, and fifth time it will return me this value. And every time it will return me a value, I will print that. So in that way, the first 5 numbers of the Fibonacci series will be printed. But again, let me remind you, my function fib does not return me a series, it returns me a single value, and that value will actually be the value at the place which you have inputted as an argument. So here if I input 5, Fibonacci, this particular function will return to me the value at the 5th place in the Fibonacci series. Okay, I think you have got the idea what I am trying to say. Okay, so I have used a standard printf function, that is the output function. So it will print the value that is being returned by the function fib, as you can recall, as let me again take your attention towards this particular word here called int. My function fib is actually returning a value of type integer. So I've written here %d as format specifier. So this m, let me recall you, this m starts, initial value of m is equal to 0. Okay, initial value of m is equal to 0. So first time when we entered inside the loop, the function will be called fib, and the argument will be passed as 0. So this function will return me the first number in the Fibonacci series at the 0th index, and after that, which is nothing actually, and in the next, the value of n will be incremented. Now the value of m is 0 plus 1 equal to 1. Will go again inside the for loop. Okay, again the printf function will be called, and inside that function we will call the fib function. This fib function will have an argument equal to m. Now the value of m at this time is equal to 1. Again it will return some value, and we will print that. Again the value of m will be incremented. Now the value becomes m plus 1 equal to 1 plus 1 equal to 2. Again this will be called, and this will go on until the value of I becomes equal to n. Okay, so from 0 to n minus 1, we will have first n values printed of Fibonacci series. You must have been familiar with the formulation of for loop until now, I think. So I don't need to I am not dwelling on this particular concept again. Now let's head back to the function fib. Now inside this function fib, if the argument that you have passed is either equal to 0 or equal to 1, then you just have to return the argument itself. As you can see here, if you are asking about the 0th index and first index of the Fibonacci series, it is just returning you the same value. So at the 0th index of the Fibonacci series, the value is 0. At the first index of the Fibonacci series, the value is 1 actually. So if the user asks you what is the value at the 0th index or at the first index of the Fibonacci series, all you have to do is just return him the argument itself. So that is what I have done here. I have returned the argument itself. If other than that, if he asked us, or if we asked to print the value of some other let's say number, the index in the Fibonacci series other than 0 and 1, what we'll do is we'll just return this particular expression here. Obviously this expression will not be returned, and the value generated out of this expression will be returned. Now what we have done here is, as you can see firsthand, that inside the fib function we are actually calling the fib function again. So we have a recursion in action. Okay, now let's come back to the faith. So my faith tells me that the fib function will calculate, or I trust my function that it will return to me the particular index value in the Fibonacci series. Okay, so if I ask my, let's say the example of this, if I passed an argument 5 to my fib function, that is fib 5. So what I am asking out of my function, let me make it in small caps. What I am asking out of my fib function is that you must return the value at the 5th index of the Fibonacci series, which is actually equal to 3. But I trust my function to return, first I will trust my function to return the previous two values, that is fib 3 and fib 4. And this is what we have discussed in the last lecture, that we have to trust our function. So I have trusted my function that if I pass on third, it will return me the third index value. Okay, sorry, third index value, and if I pass on fourth, it will return to me the fourth index value. Okay, and as we have know, if we have to calculate the fifth index value, all we have to do is just add the previous two values in the Fibonacci series. So the previous two values will be fib third plus fib fourth. So this value here plus this value will make out the next value in the Fibonacci series. Now this value is being returned by this function, and this value is being returned by this function. But I trusted my function fib that it will return the right values. Okay, so this is the idea behind the recursion when we try to implement Fibonacci series. So every time function will recall itself, it will call its function twice in the single expression, but passing on the arguments. That is, what we are seeing here in this particular line is the function which want a particular index nth value of Fibonacci series is actually asking itself, tell me the n minus 1th value and tell me the n minus 2 value, and I will add those two values and I will get the nth value. And this is the actual idea behind the Fibonacci series. Okay, so let's try to implement this. Enter the number of terms you want. Let's say I want first 10 numbers. If I enter print, okay, we have this series. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 18, 13, 21, 34 are the first 10 values of your Fibonacci series. So I think you have got the idea. If you are still confused about what recursion is doing, I highly recommend you should go back to lecture for the previous lecture, the recursion 1 lecture, and try to write down on your paper what I have told you in that particular lecture, and then you will got the idea that what is the faith and how you can implement that faith to actually implement the recursion idea. Okay, so I'll end this lecture right here. Thank you.